We could say that hands down, the Tyranids possess the greatest threat to every single faction in the Milky Way galaxy. They threaten to consume all biomass on every world until there is nothing left but barren, lifeless rocks. There is no reasoning with the Great Devourer. Its singular hive mind only sees prey, whether or not it's friendly or hostile. Consisting of a seemingly unending number of bioconstructs ranging from microorganisms to colossal hive ships, each hive fleet advances recklessly through the void. As it does so, it consumes all organic matter in its path, converting this biomass to yet more Tyranid creatures and hive ships. In past centuries, the Imperium has identified a multitude of hive fleets, such as Behemoth, Kraken, Hydra, and Gorgon. Each has its own strategies and biomorphs, many of which have manifested as swift generational adaptations in response to the strength and tactics of the enemies that the Tyranids have faced. Worst of all is that there appears to be no end to the Great Devourer. Every year since its appearance, more systems and subsectors are assaulted by this threat. The Imperium, the Eldar, the Necrons, they have all attempted to figure out what is causing the Tyranid infestation. Their hope is that by learning the origin of this powerful enemy, they can somehow exterminate the entire threat. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about all of the theories as to the origin of the Tyranid race. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. Our goal is to use the lore to inspire the hobby aspect of the tabletop game. If you guys have suggestions for topics that you guys would like us to talk about, or any questions about the 40K universe, just ask down in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. If not, just liking, commenting, and sharing this tells the YouTube gods that you enjoy 40K content. So thank you guys ahead of time. With that said, let's get into 40 facts on the theories as to the origin of the Tyranids. There are dozens of assumptions as to why the Tyranids are here in the Milky Way galaxy. The first theory we're going to talk about I like to call the Great Harvester theory. Some of the newer factions of the 40K universe believe that the Tyranids are not a new threat to this world, but rather an ancient, godlike race that consumed nearly all of the biomass of the ancient world. But they strategically left enough for the cycle of life to repopulate the galaxy once more, and so that the Tyranids can come back and feed on it all over again. This Great Harvester theory is most popular amongst agri-worlds infected by a gene-stealer cult. They tend to credit the Tyranids for their existence, they view them as divine farmers who planted the seeds of life in the Milky Way galaxy, and their return is known as the Great Harvest. Their consumption of the galaxy is no different than when a farmer picks his season's yield. Although this could easily be seen as a clever way to trick cult members into accepting their own demise as simply part of a natural galactic cycle, the theory does have some valid points. If the Tyranids have been here before, it would explain why dozens of planets all across the galaxy have Tyranid-like creatures. The ancient Terran Loch Ness monster, the Fenrisian Kraken, the living jungles of Catachan, all of these creatures could be remnants of the Tyranids' last visit. After all, no hive fleet has ever come close to these planets, and no explanation has ever been given as to why these creatures exist. It would also explain how so many Genestealer broods seem to have already been in the Milky Way galaxy before the hive fleet even arrived. It makes more sense that these broods were simply dormant until their next feeding cycle and the proximity of the hive fleet triggered their reawakening, rather than hundreds of Genestealer broods scouting ahead without ever being detected. The Tyranids having already been in the Milky Way galaxy also explains why they possess the Shadow of the War, because as far as any other race is concerned, only this galaxy possesses the war, and so the Tyranids would have had to have faced off with this threat in the past in order to evolve a defense to the immaterial. If the Great Harvest theory is true, then it would mean that the Tyranids' last feeding cycle had to have been longer than 60 million years ago. This is when the first intelligent race known as the Old Ones existed. The fact that they or no other race has any records or tales of the Tyranids would mean that the Great Devourer completely consumed all intelligent life in the previous cycle, to the point where everything that came after would be brand new. It would also be to the Tyranids' advantage to do this, as leaving behind no survivors would mean that there is no way that the next intelligent life forms would be prepared for the next harvest. The only downfall to this theory is that scans and examinations of planets after a Tyranid attack have returned with zero evidence of life, meaning that the hive fleets completely stripped the planet clean. In the Great Harvester theory, we would assume that some biological seeds would be left behind to repopulate for the next cycle, and that hasn't been discovered. Now let's move on to the next theory of the origin of the Tyranids. I like to call this one the Apex Predator theory. This is my personal favorite explanation, as it suggests that the Tyranids are simply a biologically superior organism that naturally evolved in some far distant galaxy. It completely picked their homeworld clean, and then they expanded to consume the system. Then they split off across their sector, forming distinct tendrils until the entire galaxy was devoured. They were either trying to avoid cannibalism, or they were naturally seeking out easier prey, so they journeyed into the void, and the Milky Way galaxy is just the next in line to be devoured. Now, the apex predator theory is supported by the fact that every single hive fleet has the incredible ability to rapidly evolve in response to almost any threat. Not only did they arrive with an incredible arsenal of weapons, probably adapted from the previous galaxy, but they have been able to gain new adaptations. There's a lot of examples of these. Some Tyranid hive fleets have been able to adapt their chitinous armor to the point where plasma weaponry doesn't really affect them. They have been able to evolve nullifying powers that suffocate the powers of the warp, and they have even been able to mimic specialized units to mirror the strategies of their opponents. And every single one of these is a biological adaptation. There has never been a need for the Great Devourer to develop technology, which is something that has never been seen. Every single race in the Milky Way galaxy at some point has developed some form of tool making, even the most primitive ones, whether it's the Rakghoul and their cybernetic arms, or the Jakara weaponsmiths and their Jiji weapons. Only the Tyranids are completely biologically sufficient. Even the way they communicate amongst the different bioorganisms is all done through synaptic connections of the hive mind, not vox communication or even astropathic signals. Another big part of the apex predator theory is that it doesn't support intelligent design at all. There was no Old One race that created the Tyranids, or some godlike entity that brought the Great Devourer into existence. The Tyranids are simply the result of the tried and tested natural selection process. The hive fleets that don't properly adapt simply die out, or are consumed by the better hive fleets. Now, the scary part about the apex predator theory is that no one was able to stop the Tyranids in the previous galaxy, so the odds of victory in this galaxy are pretty slim. And since the hive fleets are coming in from the galactic east and south, it's also safe to assume that the super predator has consumed multiple galaxies and might even have this one surrounded. Piggybacking off the apex predator theory is a sub-theory I like to call the fight or flight theory. If the Tyranids are a natural phenomenon created through natural selection, then they should have an automatic physiological response to stressful or frightening events. Now, for the Tyranids, this event would be another galactic superpower. For the most part, we've only seen them fight, but there is a chance that the hive fleet entering this galaxy are actually running away from something bigger and scarier than themselves. It could be another Xeno species, but what seems to be more likely is that it's a stronger and better adapted hive fleet, almost like a super hive fleet that dominated the previous galaxy and began to attack other hive fleets. This is supported by the fact that there have been situations where hive fleets attack one another in order to assert dominance. It's safe to assume that after consuming all the biomass of the galaxy, the hive fleets attacked one another in a galactic civil war in order to consume each other. And the hive fleets in the Milky Way galaxy are simply the hive fleets that decided to take flight instead of fighting with the super hive fleet. There's another sub-theory that goes along with the apex predator theory that I like to call the bug zapper theory. In this theory, the Tyranids are just like before. They're a species of super predator whose only goal has been to improve its ability to consume more through natural adaptation. And somewhere down the line, the hive mind realized that there's another quicker and less energy-exhausting source of food, the infinite realm of the immaterial. If the Tyranids can somehow adapt to consume the etheric powers of the warp, they will never run out of food. It's called a bug zapper theory because the psychic beacon known as the Astronomicon is what is attracting the giant galactic superbug to the Milky Way galaxy, much like light attracts Terran bugs. Evidence of the Tyranids adapting to fight the powers of the warp has been seen with Hive Fleet Kronos, who frequently clashes with Chaos Demons. This could be the first of many attempts to adapt the ability to consume the demons of the warp, creating a symbiotic relationship where the Tyranids consume demons in exchange for endless war against those same demons. The big problem with this theory is, of course, that so far the Tyranids haven't evolved that ability and are more interested in consuming standard biomass, not etheric powers. But you can't deny the fact that the Tyranid hive fleet seem to be converging on Terra itself, the home of the Astronomicon. The next theory we will discuss is the intelligent design theory. Contrary to the apex predator theory, this assumes that the Tyranid race was created by another race or an entity. Why someone would want to create a dangerously adaptable predatory species is a true mystery. Some believe that the Tyranids are supposed to be some sort of weapon or warrior race that's clearing the way for the arrival of their creators, and their creators haven't entered the Milky Way galaxy yet. But the fact that the different hive fleets fight one another could mean that their creators are not unified in their goal and they don't have control over this weapon. However, most followers of this theory believe that the creation of the Tyranids was an accident, and that the intelligent designer was unaware of the predatory nature of their creation, but was encouraged by something like the thrill of creating life. Eventually, this new species turned on its creator, or it was unleashed by accident. If this is true, we will never really find out what the original creator was. However, there is another explanation of the intelligent design theory that points to a race that once lived in the Milky Way galaxy that was well known for creating life, the Old Ones. The theory goes that after escaping the enslaver plague after the War in Heaven, the Old Ones made it to another galaxy and created the Tyranids. Why the Old Ones would want to create a race of super predators that consume everything in their path is complicated, but it can be summed up in 2 words: clean slate. The Old Ones wanted to clear the Milky Way galaxy of all life so that they could return and use their godlike terraforming technology to start over again. I actually covered this theory in great detail in a video I made about 4 years ago. It's called Where Are the Old Ones Now? I'll put a link up above if you're interested in getting the full motive and the potential plan of the Old Ones, but the Old Ones being the creators of the Tyranids is just a sub-theory in the grander intelligent design theory. Those are the major theories as to the origin of the Tyranids. There are others. I was going to mention them, but they all kind of fit into the intelligent design theory. They say that either the Eldar, the Necrons, the Catan, or even the Silent King created the Tyranids. But honestly, in that situation, you can say pretty much anything created the Tyranids, and you could create some type of like somewhat cohesive theory around it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a viewer request, so if you guys have more requests for other topics, just let me know what it is in the comment section below. And if you guys know a theory that doesn't fit into the ones that I've mentioned, let me know what it is in the comment section below, and I would love to explore it maybe in another video or just in the comment section below. Now, if you did enjoy this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. It tells YouTube that you want to see more 40K content, and also lets us know that this is the type of content you guys want to watch. I was so tempted to do a Blessed is a Mind Too Small for Doubt video for this, and actually start my Tyranid army, because I want to start a Tyranid army this year, but I stopped myself, because I have a Tau Empire army that I'm working on, I have a Chaos army that I'm working on, and the weather's getting nice, so it's going to be like, ooh, do I really want to be inside painting miniatures? I probably will be, but at the same time, it's like maybe I should hold off on the Tyranid army maybe for later. But thanks so much for listening, guys, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.